Ndị be anyị ekenekwanụ m unu. Asị m ka ụbọchị nketa mara na Igbo na mma. Anyị sịkwa ka nke onye chikwere ya zelu dịka o si dị. Anyị chere eme ka unu mara na ya bụ Eastern News 24 bụ ebe anyị si wetara onye bụ nnukwu ozi dị oke mkpa gbasara maka ya bụ ife ị na-anụ na-ada n'obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya, ana gbasara maka ife na-akpọtụ n'ebe dị iche iche na the whole Eastern region and the whole world. Okay, n'ụbọchị nketa ka anyị wetara unu ife anyị na-akpọ the history unveiling some things mere na July 1966. The incidents between Aguiyi Ironsi and the Coup are planning. So ya bụ history ka wetara unu ụbọchị nketa unu yege ya bụ ife maka na ọ bụ ife anyị kwesịrị ịma. Mana ya etikwere bụ na unu ga-esi ya unu ekwu ife unu chelu n'ụdị nke unu. Ọ dị nnukwu mkpa ife ichele gbasara maka ife ndị a niile akọwagasịrị n'ilu akwụkwọ gbasara maka ife mere oge ahụ, onye butere ya bụ ife, ka onye ọ bụ fault ya, onye mere ife ji wee mee the coup, ga ya bụ ife ka inye anyị ka ịgwa ya ife iche n'ụdị nke gị. All right, over to you.
Was Murtala Muhammad not the leader of that coup?
Murtala Muhammad was the architect and a very hot head that we know history says and describes him was the major actor, planner, but he stayed back in Ikeja. The mandate was to the mutineers to strike when they get to Ibadan, not do it in Kaduna for the political consequences, not in Enugu nor Benin, but they chose Ibadan. Ibadan had been marked for the operation, but Murtala Muhammad was the actor behind the scene.
Who was Theophilus Danjuma to the head of state?
Thank you very much. Captain Theophilus Yakubu Danjuma was the chief security officer to the head of state, Major General Ironsi. He was, as we know, CSO. They are to protect the life of the person and his or her family. So Danjuma was the chief security officer to Ironsi.
The chief security officer,
yes,
killed the man he was meant to protect.
In his he made some statements shortly after, but about 20 years ago or so, he said the intention was just to kidnap Ironsi, put him on trial, and explain the reason why his government had not prosecuted the Major Kaduna Nzeogu team that led the first military coup. That the intention was just to arrest Ironsi, take him to a trial, and ask questions. But he said suddenly, when they were descending the stair of Government House Agodi, one of the RSMs, subaltern that he used to arrest Ironsi, became uncontrollable, and that it was that young middle officer who ordered the firing of Ironsi and Fajui.
My guest is Chief Lekon Alabi, Mayor Olubadan of Ibadan Land, and the founding Secretary General of the Adekunle Fajuyi Foundation. It's about the power of history. It's about the power of analysis. Are you in this class of politics and power? Because what transpired was the power game. The January 1966 coup, that some have called the Igbo coup, was carried out primarily by Igbo officers within the Nigerian military. Their stated goal was to eliminate corruption and ethnic favoritism, which they believed was crippling the nation's development. The coup resulted in the deaths of prominent political leaders, including the Prime Minister, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Premier of the Northern Region, Ahmadu Bello, and Premier of the Western Region, Samuel Ladoke Akintola. Major General Aguiyi Ironsi an Igbo officer emerged as the head of the military government after the January 1966 coup. Let me make the point here. The officers that carried out the coup did not emerge as the leader of the country. Aguiyi Ironsi at that time was the head of the army. I am not sure he was part of the coup. Was he part of the January coup?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. Despite being the supreme commander, the GOC, as yes, he was the GOC of the Nigerian army, but later became the supreme commander on being appointed the military head of state. But he wasn't part of it. The master planner was Ife Ajuna, a graduate from the University of Ibadan, who held the high jump record in Nigeria and West Africa. He consulted with his fellow Major Chukwuma Kaduna Nzegu,
Hot-headed.
a revolutionary. Nzegu was a true revolutionary, because in his broadcast on 15 January 1966, which can be googled, he said, among others, the plan of this government, as you have rightly said, is to eliminate corruption, accusing Nigerian politicians of not only being 10%ers, they've graduated to 100%ers. Another focus, he said, was they were going to release Chief Obafemi Awolowo from the Calabar prison, where he was serving a 10-year jail, put him as the head of state, and give him military muscle for 6 months. Upon the stabilization of the future Awolowo federal government, he, Chukwuma Kaduna Nzegu, will resign his commission from the Nigerian army and go to the then South Africa to fight apartheid.
Remember, it's a class of politics and power.
Yes.
And as you listen, I will always recommend books to you to read. I have a book here. You can, if you're watching online, are you watching me on Facebook now? You can see this book. It's entitled Nzogu. I recommend this book to you. Obasanjo wrote this one. Nzogu. Go get it. If you don't know how to get it, you can contact me. I'll also tell you how to get books. So you can contact me on 080 999 18449. That is not the studio's number, so don't call that number. Contact me on WhatsApp if you want to know how to get books. So I recommend this book to you, Nzogu, written by Olusegun Obasanjo. It will help you in your knowledge of history. Read. When you read, you think critically. I have another book here entitled Ironsi, Nigeria, the Army, Power and Politics. Can you see this book? Hey, come and watch the radio man. Can you see Chief Lekon Alabi? You should be watching us. And remember, you can download State Affairs app. You can download State Affairs app anywhere in the world, and you are watching and you are listening. So go on Google Play Store, download the new State Affairs app. If you had the old app, just update it. Remember my or your app? If you've not downloaded my or your app, you will be missing. Download the app on Google Play Store and join the class. So come online and join the class. I'm streaming on Edmond Obilo's pages on Facebook. I'm streaming on State Affairs page on Facebook. We are streaming on Splash FM page on Facebook. Leave your comments. You can tweet at me, ask questions. Chief Lekan Labi is here. So go on Twitter. You can tweet at me. Tweet at Splash FM 1055 at EOBILO. You can leave a message for me on Instagram. Search for Edmondo Bilo on Instagram. Follow me. Let's engage. There is also State Affairs on Instagram. Search for State Affairs at State Affairs NG on Instagram. And I'm coming out with a newsletter soon. Some of my scripts on this program I can send to you, but you have to subscribe to the newsletter. I give you details of history. That will be the takeaway notes from the class. Right? So I'll be giving you notes that you can take away, but you subscribe to the newsletter. That will be out soon. And from here, I'm going to pick the first 10 persons to join me in the resource center in the class of politics and power. In that case, we are coming closer to learning about leadership. So I've recommended 2 books to you this morning already. Nzogu by Olusegun Obasanjo and Ironsi, Nigeria, the Army, Power and Politics, written by Chuks Iluebunam. Written by Chuks Iluebunam. Read these books. If you don't know how to get them, you can contact me on 080-999-18449. And that WhatsApp number, you can also tell me about situations around you. You can give me information about what is going on around you. If you're not good with WhatsApp, you can email me, eobilo@stateaffairs, eobilo@stateaffairs, and you can get me. Right? So email, that's my email address, eobilo@stateaffairs.com.
Radio man,
Sir.
kindly I tolerate my interjection. There is another title which I want to recommend on your program.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. It is called Why We Struck by Major Adewale Ademoyega.
Yes, it's one of the books I was going to recommend in this class too.
Thank you.
You need to read that. You need to read that. Why We Struck.
Yes.
Yes, it's one of the books. I came with 10 books to recommend to you. You know, I said the theme of this class is critical thinking. And critical thinking you will get from reading. It's still the story of Aguiyi Ironsi, Adekunle Fajuyi. You know, the statue of Adekunle Fajuyi is somewhere in Dubai, opposite Union Bank. Is it Union Bank? Around that first bank in Dubai there. How many of you know?
It's called the Ido Cenotaph, Dubai.
You know, until 2 years ago, I noticed that was Adekunle Fajuyi. I just was, who is this military officer? I walked in, I said, Adekunle Fajuyi, my guy.
The colonialists built that spot and put the unknown soldier dressed in the subaltern uniform of the typical African soldier, as you also have at Idumota in Lagos. So one day, one of the military administrators removed the British statue of the African soldier and took it to the government house, Agodi, facing the government house. And when the civilian came, they thought it was a bad symbol for democracy. A soldier facing the government house, Agodi Ibadan. So they removed it, transferred it back to Ido Cenotaph. Then another military officer came and said, no, instead of the unknown soldier, put the effigy of Lieutenant Colonel Francis Adekunle Fajuyi, the man who exhibited this world standard ethics of the army.
Loyalty.
Thank you.
Loyalty.
Bravery, loyalty, and honor.
He died for his boss.
Oh God. He had every opportunity to escape. or negotiate with the young mutineers. But no. He said, no, you should have taken him in Kaduna or Enugu or Benin, not here. What do you want me to say to Nigerians and the world? And you people, do you realize that myself and the Supreme Commander, we have been friends from the Congo, because they were friends.
Yeah.
Even though Ironsi was his senior. And you know, both of them were chubby. But Ironsi was taller, but they look alike, sort of. And they were friends. So he said, rather than betray my friend, my Supreme Commander, no, I will die with him, along with him.
And they died together.
The Land Rover that was driven out of the government house, Agodi, was almost moving when Fajuyi jumped inside it, because they were giving him the option. They said, sir, we have not come for you, rather we have come for this man. And that one man was the thing that infuriated Fajuyi most. A major general, GOC of the Nigerian Army, now Supreme Commander of Nigerian Forces, military head of state. You are referring to him as that man.
Perhaps he didn't understand the reality of a coup at that time.
That will be. Yes, that. Until a coup is successful. What's it? Where they where they execute them. If a coup fails, the planners know they are going to end. It is when it is successful that now you start saluting, like Niger now. It's successful. Some coups fail, even at planning stage. Babangida is on record of being the meanest executioner of so-called coup planners twice. During the alleged Vasa coup of December 1985 and during the April 20, 1999 purge of Major Gideon Oka.
If Gideon Oka coup had caught him,
42 young officers were executed despite the pleas from the world. Babangida executed them, wanting to make it known plainly to everybody in the armed forces that if you fail, you get a death certificate.
Babangida that took away his best man, Mamad Vasa, he killed him.
The son of Mamad Vasa, till tomorrow, insists that his father was honest or not guilty of the allegation against him. Even the wife, they are all still standing on the denial that Mama Vasa didn't plan any coup against Babangida. More so, not only Babangida's best man, the man who got the entrance form to NDA for Babangida. So you have to beware of friends. There are many lessons to learn. Beware of that man, your so-called closest friend. Because when Nzegu was rounded up in Kaduna and put in detention, he still insisted that there will be war between the north and the south, and that he was going to lead the war of the north. When he heard that Ironsi had been invited by the Senate in Lagos, the Senate president was Senator Nwafo Orizu, who invited the head of the army to take over, and Nsogu said no.
Was that invitation voluntary?
It was constitutional because they met. The Federal Executive Council quickly met.
Did they have any option?
They did. They didn't.
The military boys were already on rampage.
They didn't. And when they were hearing, and the things were getting clearer, that Nzogu was a revolutionary, and he didn't care a hoot. And they read the speech at that address, 100%ers, and he said they were going to deal with them. They quickly assembled and said, please, head of the army, come and take over.
You could see the way he took Ahmadu Bello out.
Oh.
That was, something I don't want to read about it.
Nzogu was a favorite of Sir Ahmadu Bello, because not only was Nzogu born in Kaduna and given the middle name of Kaduna, Chukwuma Kaduna Nzeogu, he was the typical Hausa man. Language, character, fashion, and all. There is a picture of Sir Ahmadu Bello hugging Cadet Nzeogu.
But why was Nzeogu so hard on him?
Because when they planned the coup, I had the opportunity of interviewing late Major Ademoyega 1981, 42 years ago, on my program Speak Out at the NTA Ibadan. It's just like yours, current affairs program, 30 minutes. And that was the first time Major Ademoyega will come out in public, because the radical University of Ife lecturers and students had invited him to deliver a lecture. That's where I caught him. And the recording was done in the residence of Dr. Yemi Ogunbiyi, who was then a lecturer in Ife. I remember what I went through. Twice the recording was stopped by the radical lecturers. They said, look, you are an agent of the Shagari government.
Ende ba ngwadaloli nenu migbo kunu si wee ge ya bife soila anyị ụzọ dị iche iche. Ọzọ dị ka ibe ya bụ ka ifi were ikwu gbasata maka ya bife. Nke a bụ the part 1. Nke a bụ nke izizi, ụka were nke abụọ wee nke ịtọ, mana a ga-etinyeche ihe niile a n'iru akwụkwọ ka o doo n'anya. Daalụli nenu kunu si na-esere anyị. A chọrọ ịjụ na ajụ ka ifi unu were ikwu gbasata maka nke unu go. Dịka unu na-eche maka nke ọzọ anyị ka ga-etinyekwere unu ka ifu unu were ikwu gbasata maka ya bụ ife. Drọpụrụ na ifu nche n'iru akwụkwọ na Eastern News 24 ka anyị mara ifu unu nche n'ụdị nke unu. Ngwanụ ka emesịa na ụmụ Igbo.